Hey guys, Steven here with another MyCom tutorial. Today we're going to talk about my basic editing workflow in Adobe Premiere Pro. Let's go. Alright, so you can see here I have a current project of, again, this boat lift commercial. And I just want to walk you through a little bit of how this project is set up. Basically, I have this same file structure and same folder structure in every single project that I work on. It just helps me to get started quicker. All right, so what I want to do is I want to create a new project. And so instead of going to new project here under the menu, I will go to my Finder window and I have this project template folder. And you can see here, it is all set up with different folders that match inside of Premiere. So what I can do is I usually copy this whole, highlight everything and copy it. And then I'll go to my hard drive and paste it in the folder that I'm working in. All right, so open up the new project. And now you can see everything's pretty much blank. And again, we have these same folders here built out. Standard assets, they're all there because it's saved in the project folder. Sequences, you can see here, all the sequences. I have two for 4K. One is a more quote-unquote cinematic aspect ratio, which means it has some black bars at the top and the bottom. And then this 4K, 16:9, 1080, same, the more cinematic approach, and then the 1080 16:9, and then there's the 4:5 social, which who uses that anymore? With the advent of Reels, that's what I go to for social. And so these are already pre-built, so I don't have to worry about any sequence settings. It's already in there and just how I like it. So now you can see footage that's empty, music is empty, audio is empty, and then graphics are also empty. And so what I want to do, I already have this 16:9 project file open, this 1080 project file, which is what I want. And what I want to do is import my footage. And so what I like to do, go down to Finder, and then my footage. Again, you can see the 2_footage, and I can just highlight these three folders, drag and drop, boom. It'll take a minute to import. And now in this footage, you can see here's the drone, and here's the camera footage. All right, so footage is imported. Next, I've already downloaded music in the music folder. And again, highlight all that, throw it in here. Boom, and okay. And if there's any graphics, which I don't have for this specific project, I think that should be it. And so now inside of the project file, inside of Premiere, what I want to do is go to this footage folder, and I want to, I shoot in a log format, which basically makes it almost black and white, really low contrast. That way I can gather as much color information as I can. And so I want to highlight all these clips, right click and modify color. And so what I'm going to do is add this natural LUT to it. Basically all that does is take it from this really black and almost like black and white, low contrast, and makes it more of what we're used to seeing on TV. And so now that that's there, I'll take this and I'll drag it to this new icon here, and that'll create a new sequence. So boom, you can see here this FX3, and it gives the name of the clip that I first dragged in. And what I want to do, highlight that, and I'll name it all footage. There we go. And then I'll drag that up into the sequences file or sequences folder. That way I know where it's at. And then I'll take this drone footage, and what you can do is these SRT files, that's just information that we don't really need. You can see here, don't need that information on my video. So I can go to this frame rate, and that'll toggle up these here. And so I can easily just drag and drop this drone footage into the timeline with all footage. And so now what I love to do is have all of my footage on one timeline. I can see all my shots. Good, the bad, the ugly. That way, if I need to come back to something, it's all on one timeline, and I don't have to come up to the project window and double click and figure out, okay, is it there? Is it not there? Is it on this clip or is it on this clip? That way, it's all on one timeline, and I can just see all of my footage in one place. That's a personal preference, but I feel like after about 10 years of working in Adobe, it's what I find the most comfortable. So let's see here. So let's go to this blank project, this blank timeline. I'll go up to the sequences, find this timeline, or I can right click and go to reveal sequence and project, and boom, I'll click on it once, rename boat lift. If I can type lift tutorial. All right, and I'll drag this all footage into the current project. And you can see here, now this timeline is renamed boat lift tutorial. So basically how I start a project is I like to be as organized as I can. Say I want to use this music track. So hear that. So I'll drag this little waveform and drag it down on the first track of the timeline. And I can double click right here, right next to the microphone. If I double click this little gray space right here in between the microphone and where the timeline starts, and if you can't see that, if you just hover over, you can drag it over, get you some more space there. Double click it, it makes it bigger so you can see more of the waveforms, which I like. And so basically, hit spacebar to play and say we want this commercial to be 15 seconds. Can find a good stopping point. So there's you can see the waveforms. It can get pretty dynamic here. And so what I want to do is try to find a little intro here. And I can try to cut it together with where it picks up a little bit. Okay, if I hit plus on my keyboard, it'll zoom into the timeline so I can see the waveforms a little better. Hit space to stop it, and I'll just hit the left key, left arrow key will scrub by one frame. And then my keyboard shortcut to cut a clip is D, so I'll hit the letter D, and it may be different for you. And I'll drag this back to the beginning, and you can see this little magnet. That's the snap. The keyboard shortcut is S. If you hit S on your keyboard, that'll enable or disable snap. And what that does is if it's on, if I slowly drag it, it'll snap it. If not, then it can be really easy to get off by a frame. So I want to make it snap right here. Can you play this back? You can see it's a little bit abrupt, so I'll right click and I'll zoom in here a little bit. I'll right click where that edit is and apply default transitions. That'll apply a little cross dissolve. And you can see how that is. 2, 3, 4, cut. And I'll zoom out using the minus key and find a good ending spot, which looks like could be right here. Gotta see how that fades out. Let's see. All right, so again, I'll drag this over. Same thing. It may be off by a couple frames here. You can see how this waveform starts in the first clip. So I will drag this over to match. All right, and then right click, apply default. All right, so and just fade that out. So I'll hit D to cut this and delete it. And then I'll hit P on the keyboard to pull up my pen tool and click on this line, which is the volume line. And so if I could click on any part of the line, I can drag it down. And that's the amount of decibels it's fading down. And so instead of 15 seconds, we have about a 20-second commercial. That's fine. So let's play it through. Boom. Okay, so that's pretty decent. Not great, but for now, it'll do. All right, now that we have our music all laid out, what I want to do is go over to the footage folder and start building this edit. And so I already have some clips that I've selected, but basically I like to see all of my clips on one timeline. That way I know what I'm looking at and can always go back easily and pick out something if I missed it. And so let's say we want to start with, some pretty abstract shot of maybe some water. So what I'll do is hit plus on the keyboard to zoom into the timeline and kind of grab this shot of the water. All right. And so the way you make a cut, you can either go over to your tools panel, hit this blade, and you can manually cut. What I like to do is I have my keyboard shortcut to D, the letter D. If that's not your shortcut, you can always go up to the Premiere Pro, keyboard shortcuts, and then type in the search bar, or add edit is what it's called. You can see here, it's D. You can right click here and you can make it whatever you want it to be. Say you want it to be something really hard like Command-Shift-E. You can do that. But I have it set to D, the letter D, because I use it a lot. And so just go through the timeline. I've got this little section pulled out. You can see here, it's beautiful. And so with it selected, I'll hit Alt and then up on the keyboard. Holding Alt, hit up, and that'll take it to this second track. You can see this V2, video track 2. That way I know, okay, I've used this clip. And so now that I have this clip pulled up, I'll hit Command-C to copy it, go over to the boat lift commercial tutorial, and I'll paste it, Command-V. And you can see here it's a little bit tighter of a shot than what it was before, and that's because that's a 4K clip and a 1080 timeline, so it's automatically cropped to 100%. Or automatically scaled to 100%. So what you can do to fix that is you can right click and go to set to frame size. And what that'll do is automatically set it to where the whole image fits in the timeline in the window here. And so you can also go up to effects controls and scale it manually, but I have a keyboard shortcut that is Shift S, and that automatically sets it because I use that a lot. And so with this, I like to match it up to the music, so we can play the hit here, hit the space bar, and let's actually get rid of this dead space here. So click right here, hit D to make the cut, and A will actually select everything forward, everything past where you're going to click. If you hit Shift A, it'll only select what's forward on that specific track, which I love this tool. It saves a whole bunch of time. Now hit V to pull up the move tool, and I will drag it back. Let's save 7 frames. Okay, so it starts off when the music hits. Okay, so I think that's actually timed out perfectly, randomly. And let's go to another drone shot. So I'll hit the backslash on my keyboard, and that'll pull up all my clips. And let's see, I like this kind of over the head shot. The boat driving, beautiful. And again, hit Alt and up, drag it to the second track, copy it, go to the other timeline, and Command V to paste it, and Shift S to set it to the frame size. All right, so you can kind of hear when the piano hits down a little bit. I'll cut it there. D, and then I'll delete that. And let's go to a tight shot of the driver. Let's see, where was that reverse shot? Kind of play through here. If you tap L on your keyboard, that'll play it. If you hit L again, it'll play it faster. And one more time, a little bit faster. So that's another way to kind of scrub through the footage. So I like this shot of this reverse shot. hit D when he's looking away. Boom, he turns his head. Hit D again to make a cut. Alt up and copy it and paste it here. And Command S, or sorry, Shift S, set it. And I'll drag this out. I want to keep this a little bit slower of a edit. And let's do maybe a tight shot. We can kind of see his hand on the wheel there. Maybe we can do another tight shot of him on the wheel. Let's see. There's one with the sun behind him. There we go. So I'll start with it with his hand blocking the sun. I'll hit D here, and then Alt and up, copy it, and paste it here. And Shift S to set the frame size. So what I want to do is have this sun kind of peek out when the music hits. So you can kind of see it's almost there. What I'll do is have it with this clip highlighted. I'll hit the letter M and make a marker. And I can drag this right to that cut and then drag it back. And take the end of the clip and kind of leave it a couple frames afterwards. So now you can kind of see the sun's there, blocks, boom, it's there again. I may try to back it up a little bit. So I'll hit Y and get my slip tool. It's right here. This little double arrow with the boxes, with the brackets around it. What this will do, so this will just basically take the clip and keep it the same length, but you can kind of move it around inside of there. That way you don't have to take the tails and the tops and cuts and all that kind of stuff. It's just an easy way to move a clip a few frames. So I moved it back 4 frames. Let's see how that feels. Perfect. Then let's do another shot of the boat with the drone, with the sun behind it. Got that. Copy it. Paste it. And scale it. And here, when the music picks up, I can kind of pick up the edit a little bit. And so I'll just kind of continue on here, making some pretty quick edits. I like this shot with the waves. And I'll kind of speed up through. You guys kind of have the idea now of kind of what I'm working through. Yep. And then want to get them actually using the little push button here. Boop. Got it. Copy. Paste. And then I'll get the boat in the dock, moving up. Okay. Boom. Scale it. I can kind of drag this out if I need to. Shot. So I'll take that and drag this out to the end. And I can have one final shot of them. Let's say we'll have them walking off, holding hands. I think I did one more take. Yep. Boop.
There you go.
And they're happy. All right. So that is basically and my editing workflow. One other thing I do want to add, I know I mentioned those. I know I mentioned up here in the standard assets. What I like to do is sometimes things can feel a little bit too digital, so I'll take this 35 millimeter grain, and you can see now everything is gray and grainy, which is not what we want. So I go to the effects control and take this under the opacity, which may be twirled up, you twirl down, change it over to soft light. And that'll kind of give it a little bit more texture. Maybe hard to tell right now, but it does add some texture to the shot. And then also what I want to do is underneath that, I'm going to add an adjustment layer. So adjustment layers, all I do is simply that. They adjust the layers that are beneath it. And so with this highlighted, what I want to do is go over to my color Lumetri color here. If you can't see this, just go to Window and Lumetri color, and this will pop up. And so basically what I want to do is just add a consistent look over all of this project. So let's go down to, I have this LUT that I like from my friend Hidero from Japan, actually met in Japan. And he's got an awesome LUT. And you can see here, this is not scaled. And so go to Effects Controls, and I'll scale this up to 100. Boom. And so all this does is basically just adds like a filter. This one makes it pretty dark and moody. I don't like it that dark and moody, so I can take this intensity and I usually back it down to about 40% or 30%, something like that. It just adds a little touch. It just adds a little touch to the footage that makes it a little more pleasing, a little more cinematic, as you could say. And there's a whole step and process to color grading, which we can get into later. But right now, this is kind of my basic workflow. And then what I can do is just trim all of these to the end and then hit back arrow once. That'll take it a frame, and then hit O on the keyboard, and that'll set an out point. So now you can see this whole highlighted area on the timeline. This one I'm going to export. I'll hit Command M to export, and it'll pull up this exporting menu. And again, there are a ton of presets you can use. I've got my own that are built out, but usually this high quality HD will be just fine. So you can click that and then hit, go right here to this location and make sure you save it to where you want it to go. And it's the same folder as all my footage and everything else, so it's all real tidy. And hit save and then export. And that's it. So I hope this was useful for you guys. I just wanted to give you a little insight into my basic workflow for Adobe Premiere Pro. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer. Thanks.